Got up the next day, came in for treatments and was like, feel more sore here than usual. When I got it checked out, and not great news, but it wasn't what I wanted to hear.
The basketball world is watching a familiar, gut-wrenching nightmare unfold as Zion Williamson's body breaks down yet again. And this time around, the feeling of dread is absolutely terrifying. It's a story we've seen before, a cycle of incredible promise, followed by devastating injury, but with each new setback, the questions about his future grow louder and more urgent, casting a dark shadow over one of the league's most electrifying talents.
So this looks like it can be chronic. And if it's chronic, the way that he plays, that's unfortunate for New Orleans.
But you know what's crazy? It's not just the single injury that has everyone on edge. It's the mountain of evidence it's piling on top of and what this pattern might ultimately mean for his entire career. So stick around, because we're about to break it all down. Let's start with the latest setback. To really understand what happened, we have to rewind the clock to November 2nd, The New Orleans Pelicans were facing off against the Oklahoma City Thunder right there at home in the Smoothie King Center. Zion suited up, looked like his usual self, and logged 28 incredibly productive minutes, dropping 20 points. On the surface, everything looked completely normal. It was just another night at the office for Zion, doing what only Zion can do, bulldozing his way to the basket with that absolutely otherworldly combination of size, speed, and raw explosiveness that makes him one of the most unique physical specimens the NBA has ever witnessed. But beneath that surface, hidden from view, something was brewing. Something that would sideline him once again and add another deeply frustrating chapter to an injury saga that has tragically defined far too much of his young career.
Did it happen in the Cleveland game?
It had to have, because when I left the arena, I felt fine. No problems, no nothing. Got up the next day, came in for treatments and was like, feel more sore here than usual.
Just 2 days later, on November 4th, 2025, the Pelicans organization delivered the news that every single fan in New Orleans had been dreading. The official announcement came down. Zion Williamson had sustained a grade 1 left hamstring strain. The collective groan from the fan base was almost audible. It was that sinking feeling of "here we go again," a phrase that has become all too common in the Zion Williamson experience.
When I got it checked out and got that great news, not great news, but it wasn't what I wanted to hear.
Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with all the medical terminology, a grade 1 strain is technically the mildest form of muscle injury. We're talking about minor damage to the muscle fibers that, for most athletes, typically heals within a pretty straightforward 1 to 3 weeks with the right amount of rest and rehabilitation. Honestly, it's the kind of injury that usually represents a brief, annoying inconvenience rather than a major, season-altering setback. But here's the thing. When you're Zion Williamson, and when your body has already been through the sheer amount of punishment that his has over the years, nothing is ever quite that simple. The initial prognosis seemed reasonable, even optimistic by Zion's standards, indicating he would be reevaluated in about 7 to 10 days. The medical staff immediately emphasized rest, implementing the standard RICE protocol that's rest, ice compression, and elevation, and combined it with anti-inflammatory treatments specifically designed to promote healing and reduce the swelling in that affected area. By November 13, 2025, just 9 days after the diagnosis, the team actually provided an encouraging update. Zion had been cleared to resume on-court basketball activities, even with contact. This was a huge step, representing significant progress and indicating that the initial healing phase had gone off without any complications. His body seemed to be responding positively. Throughout this recovery period, Williamson was forced to miss a total of 8 consecutive games, watching helplessly from the sidelines as his Pelicans team struggled mightily without their franchise cornerstone. The team had already stumbled out of the gate with a disappointing 0-6 record before he got hurt, and his absence only compounded their difficulties, making a bad situation even worse as they faced tough opponents like the Hornets, Mavericks, Spurs, and Suns without their best player.
How has it been going through an injury again?
The initial part is always just rough on your mental, but after the first week, your spirits are back up, and just being around the guys helps a lot as well.
But right when things look bleakest, the story takes a much more hopeful turn. On November 19, 2025, Zion Williamson made his highly anticipated return to the court against the formidable Denver. And while the Pelicans ultimately lost that game 25-18, his mere presence on the floor represented a massive psychological and emotional boost for the entire organization. In 29 very carefully monitored minutes, he managed to contribute 1 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists, along with a steal and a block. Sure, the efficiency wasn't quite at his usual god-tier level. He shot just 5 for 12 from the field, but simply having him back out there, commanding the defense's full attention and creating opportunities for his teammates, made an absolutely enormous difference. You could feel it. Interim head coach James Borrego couldn't hide his relief and excitement about having his star player back in the lineup, saying he was great. He got us off to a really good start. More than anything, just having Zion out there for our spirit as a team, as a city, as an organization, is phenomenal. And then the very next night, on November 21st, 2025, Zion took the floor against the Dallas Mavericks and showed even more of that trademark explosiveness, posting 22 points in another 29. The highlights from that game showcased the Zion that fans fell in love with, the unstoppable force of nature attacking the rim, the player who seems to defy the very laws of physics with his unbelievable combination of power and grace.
Derek out of the timeout. Zeal get the easy one. I like that ATO by Coach Borrego.
Yeah, you get the steal. You push the basketball. This gives you an opportunity to head downhill and attack.
Will it be Z on the attack? Yeah, he'll get there. What a finish to the half.
However, the very next day brought a stark reminder of just how carefully and meticulously the Pelicans need to manage their franchise players' workload. On November 22nd, 2025, Williamson was officially ruled out for the game against the Atlanta Hawks, listed as out due to left hamstring injury management. Now it's crucial to understand this wasn't a new injury or some kind of setback in his recovery. Instead, it represented a calculated and incredibly prudent decision by the medical staff to avoid playing him in back-to-back games so soon after his return. The risk of re-aggravating a healing hamstring by pushing too hard, too soon, simply wasn't worth taking, especially given Zion's extensive and painful history with this particular muscle group. And then came November 24th, 2025, a night that Pelicans fans are going to remember for a long, long time. They were facing the Chicago Bulls at home, with their team mired in a soul-crushing 9-game losing streak and sitting at an abysmal 2-2. New Orleans desperately needed something, anything, to spark some hope and build momentum. And Zion Williamson delivered in the most spectacular fashion imaginable.
Z trying to get there again on the spin. Beautiful jump hook.
It's funny what that free throw did.
In just 30 minutes of playing time, Zion went nuclear, tying his season high with 29 points. And he did it with breathtaking efficiency, shooting an ultra-smooth 8 for 14 from the field, which is 57.1%, and an impressively dominant 13 for 16 from the free throw line. A stellar, he didn't just score, either. He added a rebound, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block, making his presence felt all over the floor on both ends. His absolutely commanding performance was the catalyst for a much-needed 23-130 victory, which was not only the Pelicans' highest-scoring game of the season, but also the breakthrough they so desperately needed to snap that lengthy, demoralizing losing streak.
Cleary. And Z gets there. He'll get the roll.
A lot of contact.
Yeah, once Javon Carter left the space, they forced Zion all the way out to the three-point line or accept the pass.
After the game, you could see the emotion written all over Zion's face, and his comments revealed both his deep satisfaction with his physical state and his simmering frustration with the necessary limitations on his playing time. He told reporters, "I felt great tonight. Minutes restriction is frustrating, but I will make it happen with the minutes I have." This single statement perfectly encapsulates the complex, tightrope walking reality of Zion's current situation. He feels healthy, he's hungry to play more, and he desperately wants to help his team climb out of the deep hole they've dug for themselves early in the season. But on the other side of that coin, the medical staff must constantly balance his competitive desires against the very real, ever-present risk of re-injury if they push him too hard, too soon.
What's kind of the analysis from the people you're talking to of like, how can we like try to treat this, going forward?
Working on mobility, strength in different areas. It's definitely a lot of things that I can do to improve on, taking stress off that area.
As of November 25th, 2025, Zion Williamson is not currently listed on the injury report for any upcoming games, which is a fantastic sign that suggests he's cleared for regular availability moving forward. However, it's almost a certainty that the team's cautious approach to back-to-back games will remain in effect. This isn't a sign of panic. Rather, it reflects their long-term, big-picture thinking about preserving their superstar's health over the grueling marathon that is an 82-game NBA season. They know his value, and they're playing the long game.
Because you're such a gifted athlete, you put so much force on your lower extremities. Like, is that part of it that you're kind of one of one from an athleticism perspective, and is that part of the conversation that you're having of we might have to do different things to treat this and all that?
Absolutely. You have to factor that in because I don't have the normal basketball body type, but I can also do things that guards can do to really get off the ground. So yeah, we definitely take that approach when going into rehab.
This latest injury, while relatively minor in the grand scheme of things, serves as yet another powerful reminder of the precarious tightrope that Zion Williamson walks every single time he steps onto an NBA court. But to truly grasp the sheer magnitude of his struggles, we need to zoom out and examine the full, shocking scope of his medical history from the moment he entered the league. Here's a staggering statistic for you. Zion has played in only 202 regular season games out of a possible let that sink in. That means he's been available for only about 45% of his team's contests. Put another way, he has missed more games, approximately 268 of them, than he has actually played over the course of his NBA career. The warning signs, believe it or not, appeared even before he became a professional. During his senior year of high school and his legendary freshman season at Duke, minor injuries started to accumulate. On March 28, 2018, playing in the McDonald's All-American game, he suffered a thumb injury, then at Duke, an eye poke. But nothing could have prepared the world for February 2, when just 36 seconds into a game against North Carolina, his Nike shoe literally exploded, leading to a knee sprain. The aftermath was so huge that Nike's stock dropped by $1.1 billion. When the Pelicans drafted him first overall in 2019, the excitement was electric, but it was almost immediately crushed by news of a torn right lateral meniscus, requiring surgery. His debut was delayed until January 22. His rookie season was a stop-and-start affair, with an ankle sprain and the pandemic shutdown, limiting him to just 24 games. His second season was his healthiest, playing 61 games and making the All-Star team, averaging an incredible 27. But even that year was peppered with minor issues before a fractured finger ended it prematurely. Then came the devastating lost season. A Jones fracture in his right foot, suffered in the offseason, led to setback after setback, and he missed all 82 games, a period that also saw his weight reportedly balloon over 300. He returned for the 2022-23 season with a massive new contract, but on January 4, 2023, a major hamstring strain sidelined him for the rest of the season. A total of 41 games missed. It's a relentless, heartbreaking pattern that defines his career just as much as his incredible talent does.
The dude has a body built for NFL Sunday. Yeah. And he's playing a game that really forces him to have a lot of torque and an explosion off his muscles. And he has to stretch. More than anyone, he has to. This is the second time, I believe, the hamstring problem with him. So this looks like it can be chronic. And if it's chronic, the way that he plays, that's unfortunate for New Orleans.
The 2023-24 season actually represented Zion's most durable campaign to date, and it was a huge sign of hope. He played in a career-high 70 games, averaging an impressive 22.9 points, 5.8 rebounds, and 5.0 assists, all while showing an improved playmaking ability and a much more well-rounded offensive game. To make this happen, the Pelicans implemented what they called an injury prevention plan, carefully managing his minutes and monitoring his workload all season long. Still, even this relatively successful year featured multiple brief absences for things like rest days, ankle issues, illness, and other minor injuries. And then, in a moment of pure tragic irony, when the Pelicans finally made the play-in tournament. Zion suffered yet another hamstring injury on April 17, 2024, in the final minutes of a loss to the Lakers, cutting his postseason contribution short once again. The 2024-25 season followed a now familiar, frustrating pattern. Illness delayed his debut, and then a major hamstring strain caused him to miss. He returned in January, showed flashes of dominance, but was plagued by more interruptions until a lower backbone contusion ended his season after just 30 games. And that brings us full circle to this current 20. Looking at his complete career statistics, he's an elite, dominant force when he plays. A player efficiency rating of 25.3 is no joke. The tragedy is simply that he hasn't been on the court nearly enough. Medical experts have tried to explain it, pointing to his explosive style and powerful build listed at 6'6", 284 pounds, placing extraordinary stress on his lower body. The team has even reportedly tried to reprogram his walking and running mechanics to reduce that stress. His trade value, as you can imagine, is at an all-time low. Beyond the court, Zion Latif Williamson, born July 6, 2000, comes from an incredibly athletic family. His high school career was legendary, leading his team to 3 straight state championships and becoming a 5-star recruit ranked in 1 in his class. His one electric season at Duke saw him sweep virtually every major award. Off the court, he's a complex person who enjoys writing poetry and anime and maintains close family ties. His personal life has also been under a microscope, from his relationship with his girlfriend Akima Love, with whom he has a daughter, to a deeply serious civil lawsuit filed by an ex-girlfriend in May 2020. That case remains ongoing, a stark reminder of the complex challenges that can accompany fame. On the business side, he signed a massive $75 million deal with Jordan Brand, and his philanthropic spirit shone through during the pandemic when he covered the salaries of arena staff. The comparisons to NBA legends have always been there, because when he's healthy, he truly is that special.
Talent, is more of a natural thing. Like, you can look at somebody and go, okay, they're really talented. Greatness is every day. Greatness is when you don't want to do it, when you want to do it. If you're facing crazy adversity, good, bad, no matter what's going on, greatness, you do it every day. You show up every day and you make it happen every day.
So, the central question that hangs over Zion Williamson, the New Orleans Pelicans, and basketball fans everywhere is a heavy one. Can this immensely talented player finally find a way to stay healthy long enough to fulfill the enormous potential that made him the most hyped prospect in a generation? The medical community and basketball analysts are deeply divided. Some point to the cyclical nature of soft tissue injuries, where each tear creates scar tissue that makes the muscle even more vulnerable in the future. Others find hope in his 70-day season, arguing it proves he is capable of durability if his conditioning is perfect and he's managed properly. But what remains absolutely undeniable is that Zion Williamson, when he steps onto that court, is one of the most captivating and electrifying players in the world. His recent 29-point performance against the Bulls, with those thunderous dunks and that incredible efficiency, was a powerful reminder of why the hype was justified in the first place. As this season continues, all eyes will be fixed on his ability to string together consistent availability. For Zion himself, this is a critical juncture. He's still only in his mid-20s, theoretically just entering his prime. If he can piece together a few healthy seasons, all the accolades that seemed destined for him are still within reach. But time waits for no one, and each game lost is an opportunity that can never be recovered. The story of Zion Williamson, at its core, a heartbreaking story about the cruelty and fragility of the human body, even one blessed with superhuman gifts. But one thing is absolutely certain: as long as he's healthy enough to play, the entire basketball world will be watching, hoping and marveling at one of the most unique talents the sport has ever produced. If you enjoyed this video, click on the ones showing on your screen to enjoy